Okay, so diets, doctrine, and dogma are the triple D's of disease. So I had an experience the other night that I'm not sure how I was going to explain it, because there is a medical scientific point of view behind what I experienced, and there's also a spiritual point of view what I experienced. So I'm going through an evolution, and in the middle of the night, I felt like a muscle contraction that was so excruciatingly painful. It was a trip. It was so excruciatingly painful in the middle of the night. It was like a muscle spasm. It was a muscle contraction that there's a name for. It's like a nocturnal muscle contraction or cramp, muscle cramp. But it was so painful that it made me like just arch my whole body, like as if it was going through some kind of like convulsive type of major like whole body spasm, but it originated from the muscle in my right leg, in my right calf. And from that pain, I saw it was energy that looked like a bunch of geometry, and it was all very uniform, but it was just so many bright lights that were just in a very particular order. It was like a sacred geometry. I mean, if you look at some of the websites out there about sacred geometry, it looks exactly like that. And it was extremely painful. And some could say, oh, it's a Charlie horse. Some could say it was like, yeah, you could say clinically it was a muscle spasm. But it was such an it was so painful. I like, holy crap. But it wasn't painful enough for me to be like, oh my God, I have to go get medical attention or something. No, there are ways of which your body is going through an evolution, and there are pain originators that come from different parts of the body, and you're going to feel them and you're going to characterize them, but it's an evolution. It's an evolution. And it happened in the middle of the night. It was just it was the weirdest, most painful experience ever I've had in a long time. And I actually I have like some sensitive skin right here on my middle finger, so I don't know what that means. I should look it up what the middle finger is attached to. But so my body's going through an evolution, but I really figured everything out. Everything comes down to the triple D's. Dogma, or diets, doctrines, and dogma are the triple D's of disease. And so it's interesting. It's going to now take my book in a different direction. I'm going to mention the Catholic Church. I'm going to mention the Freemasons, that they are the ones that have basically constructed our world, but they have casted spells over our world. And the whole point of the Jilly Juice is to take a blank slate, which is the Jilly Juice, releasing all of those spells from the diets, the dogma, and all the doctrines, and reconstruct our lives. Because that is the triple D's of disease. Dogma, dogmatic belief systems, very rigid belief systems. All the diets that are basically causing malnutrition, depriving you of the necessary energy for you to be able to construct a future. And so the dogma, the diets, the dogma, the rigid belief systems that keep you very limited in your viewpoints, and the doctrines, all the written language, every single religion, every single written piece of information, even academia, all of your science, all of your computer science, all of your chemistry. I mean, it's one thing to understand concepts and definitions, but it's another thing to spin the crap out of them and play the positive and negative forces against each other. And so I see it even some people who like my perspective, like on the Jilly Juice. They're still stuck in the dogma. They're still stuck in the doctrines. They're still stuck in the diets. And so they're like, oh, it's all about being positive. No, it's not about being positive. It is not about being positive. It is about understanding the balance of both positive and negative. I see a lot of you sort of like, oh, it's all about, you give this kind of positive energy and you have all these daily affirmations of being all lovey-dovey and this and that. You completely miss the point of Jilly Juice. You're still stuck under the spells of Aphrodite. All these gods in Greek mythology represent the spells they have cast upon you, as well as your predecessors, as well as your future children, as well as your current children today. And so this whole thing with casting spells through words, oh, heck yes. Parents do it to their kids. The kids will then do it back to their parents. You know how many times, kids, they want something from the parents. So they find ways to manipulate their parents to get them to do what they want. Well, they're doing exactly the same thing that you did to them when they were a kid. You did things to manipulate them to get them to do what you want them to do. And then the cycle keeps repeating down the family line. And it's not about being positive and healing. What is the healing? When people say, oh yeah, you got to heal your DNA so you can have positive in your DNA. That's bullshit. It's about creating a blank slate and then redesigning your future with words that are completely different than all the dogma that's in academia, that's in religion, that's in science, politics. And that is going to be very difficult because a lot of you still buy into all the daily affirmations. Some of you all still buy into all being positive. Some of you buy into just repeating back what I say, but you haven't really owned my words. You're finding articles and YouTube videos to try to reflect back, but you don't reflect back in a way that you own. Bridget, I want you to own what I'm doing by actually developing your own words. Not posting videos or posting YouTube things. I want you to develop your own words, like write out something that is a complete original thought from you, that you found words that are corresponding to your life, and you've created now something totally new and different that is from you. Not you can't steal anything that's original. You steal things that are knockoffs. Okay? I want original thought. And that, I understand it comes back from repeating back, but for how long do you want? I don't want to brainwash you. I don't want to be, and that's what it comes off of. When you repeat what I say, it's like I'm brainwashing you. Don't repeat back what I say. Develop your own way of doing things. So I have one way of looking at stuff, right? You can still have the same way, but you can develop your way of communicating it. That's what I mean by when you release all the physical crap in your body, all the spelling, all the spells, all the words that your parents have given you that you've carried around inside of you. I mean, that's why we are in such a quandary. That's why we have 7 billion people messing up and glitching, because they have been under the spells that have countered each other and then have played off each other, that have been offshoots of each other. And to understand Jilly Juice, it's not about being positive and nicey and daily affirmations and being no lovey-dovey and this. No, it's about constructing. It's being first of all real with yourself. Some of you have not even been real with yourself. You still have an image to maintain. You have an image that you have to look good. You have to look like, that you're doing something correct. You have an image to maintain, which I understand in the professional world, but at some point you're going to have to figure out how to jockey between the professional world and you being able to be real, but you can be real intellectually. I'm telling you, it's the words that have the power. If you don't develop your own way of constructing sentences, then you'll just be finding somebody else that you're going to follow, but you haven't really adopted yourself. I don't want to be anyone's guru. I want you guys to develop, I want you, first of all, create a blank slate. I want you to start looking deeper than just what I'm saying, looking at your own personal life. And so the way I can get the point across is to say, okay, diets and dogma and doctrines are the triple D's of disease, And how are they? Well, because the diets deprive you of energy. The doctrines are keeping you within a very specific spell and a specific programming. And the dogma is all that rigid belief system. The rigid belief systems that are out there. And they take on so many different forms. They shapeshift. They shapeshift all the time. And so when you're thinking that, oh, okay, Democrats not being doesn't work for me anymore. Now I'm gonna be a Republican. So you take on another doctrine of belief system. Oh, I'm an independent. I can't deal with both parties. Now I'm an independent. And the independents have their own doctrines, and they still abide by the Democrats and Republicans. It's a combination of both. Okay. So, but you're still under a doctrine. And so this is where you forge new worlds, is when, yes, you still piggyback on the prior world, but you're not taking the past and put it in your future. You are really actually focusing on taking yourself and creating a blank slate, which means, yes, being on your own. Sometimes I tell you what, my husband does a lot of things on the weekends with his best friend or with whatever's going on out there. I choose to stay home a lot because I'm trying to deal with my book. I'm trying to evolve with my book. So I actually sacrifice a lot of my social interactions so I can actually be with myself and write and think about what I want to develop, because not everyone is going to develop with me in my current world. So I have to then extricate myself from the current programming out there, and I develop my own programming, and that is using words, that is understanding the world that I live in. I put things out there not for you to repeat back. I put stuff out there so you can take it on yourself and you can start developing your own thought process. Even if you keep a journal, but you're not good with the English language, then you start go get a dictionary and learn words. Go Google words, Google synonyms, expand your vocabulary. Be more than just, a meme. Be more than just copy and pasting some kind of affirmation that you found on the internet that, oh, it looks good right now because it makes you look good. So it's an ego thing. And start developing a really awesome future for you. But I get that that's not a lot of your guys' intention. That maybe I'm just a passing fancy, that it's just like trendy for the moment, and then it really is not going to take root anywhere deep within you because you've been damaged so much by somebody else's spells. And so it's like, and so if I can make it so simplistic, the diets, the doctrines, and the dogma are what is keeping you guys in your circulation of disease. Maybe you might think of something different aside from taking crap from other places and adopting it as your own. You develop your own thought process. Maybe it means that you be real. Maybe it means that you kind of look a little bad. So yeah, I'm not as perfect as I claim to be on these daily affirmations I'm posting all over Facebook. Oh, I see people, they take stuff from the church. They take stuff from, Lao Tzu, and they take stuff from, whatever, I don't know, Gandhi or Mandela, and they're like, oh yeah, this sounds so great for the moment, for my day. Maybe I have done that too. But now I'm just like, you know what? There's so much power in converting energy and creating. Convert and create. I mean, it's like not like you're inventing anything different, but you're taking things and converting them so different than what's already out there. That's all I'm asking you guys to do, is figure out how to convert energy to where it's so different than somebody else. But don't be a parrot back to me. Don't repeat everything that I say. First, own up to all of your shit. Some of you are hiding behind so much crap. You have so many skeletons in your closet that you have to put forth an image because you're afraid anyone's going to find out how actual human you really are. And so what triggers me is when people don't really get real with themselves. And there's a way you can get real out there on Facebook without putting yourself in a bad light that could hurt you professionally. Oh, absolutely not. Because even professionals know that other professionals have stuff that they got to deal with. They are just as human as they are. Some people are more forthcoming with, with what they have going on, but you know, not everybody wants to let it all hang out, but you don't have to be dripping, crap everywhere for people to know how real you are. But you can take that crap that you don't want people to know about and convert it to something that is totally new and different. But how do you do that? Well, eventually you're going to have to own up to who you are in the world. Own up to all your shit. Stop hiding behind pretty fancy words and pretty pictures and whatever else. Sometimes even the written word can be just as powerful as a picture, or as a filtered picture, or a picture of flowers or whatever. Beauty is beautiful, but beauty is something that is very subjective. And then what would happen when you do actually get real with yourself? And then you do let that facade fall away. And then now you are in this new evolution of then even more beauty that's even that much more strategic and original. See, that's the thing, is originality is something that's very hard to come by, because we have been parroting somebody else all the time. We've been repeating back somebody else's doctrines. Now, the whole point of Jilly Juice is to understand the world that you live in, to understand your relationships. So you know why the hell you do the things you do, and then you're like, oh, okay, I recognize this behavior. I recognize this type of dynamic between my daughter and my son, my husband, my wife, my coworkers, my employees. Though you still have to adapt to the current, occupational climate, but you still have your own life. It's not like your job is your life. You still have your own development. And so the doctrines of disease, so the triple D's of disease is definitely the doctrines, the dogma, and the diets. And you see it everywhere. You see those that are practicing their religions, and they're so rigid in their little beliefs. It's like you can't penetrate that. And some will use Jilly Juice as another form of a way to judge. Religions out there will use, and they did it actually in the beginning when I first started Jilly Juice. So many different religious people used my information as another weapon in their tool of offense. And that's not the point of Jilly Juice. The whole point of Jilly Juice is to create a blank slate, get out from under the spells of the diets, the doctrines, and the dogma, and you have an amazing life, and you take yourself out of the stupid ass wars out there that are destroying you and destroying your kids and destroying your parents and destroying your friends and family, and you're not a party to the destruction in our society. That's the whole point of Jilly Juice, is you give the people that you absolutely care about some kind of option. And if you have some relative control over them, maybe you can get them to get to a certain point where they see the benefit of Jilly Juice. Because let me tell you, when you first take a sip of it, it's not going to smell good. It's not going to taste good. But nothing ever is good in life. It's always going to taste like freaking candy. But hey, if you want to put fruit syrup in there, fine. People ask me, Darcy asked me in the group, and she's been on and off J Juice for a while. And I get it. I understand. But yes, you can put fruit syrup in J Juice to make it better. Sometimes I will have a water chaser. Sometimes I will have one of my husband's fruit water chasers, because I need to, but then the reason why I would take a sip of J Juice was because I was eating Ohio mix popcorn, and it has the caramel and the cheese. And there was a lot of it. So I was drinking, some J Juice to counteract all of that. But I want you guys, since you guys know English, at least people that speak English, start using your personal words. Start using your personal, and look up words. What hit me about doctors and doctrines is like, oh my God, yes, a doctor basically upholds a doctrine. The doctrine is the Hippocratic Oath, whatever that entails, all of that spells of the you're not supposed to feel pain to be alive. Do you realize that doctors uphold doctrines? Forget big pharma for a minute. Doctors uphold doctrines. Doctrines also translate in the politics, religion, and science, as well as the Constitution. That's another spell that was cast over America. America, the greatest experiment, yes. They cast a spell over the people who come over. Oh yeah, you'll be free. What is freedom? That's like all relative. That's all perception. Freedom is the fact that you can actually go to your mailbox and get your mail and eat food, and you have access to all the different things to keep you alive and relatively comfortable. That's what freedom is. Oh, but no, someone wants to go and characterize freedom as, hell, I don't know. Everybody has their perception of what freedom is. So the Constitution is a living document. It's going through its evolution, and it's a doctrine, and it will change and it will evolve. And so will all the doctrines out there. And so it's up to you. If you want to change your world and society, then you help change the doctrines that are in place, which is using words. First, change your own personal doctrine, your own personal constitution. That means that not repeating back everything out there, but you develop your own. Start writing. Those who are on the Daily Juice, start writing your own journals. Start just writing. Let me tell you, I've been writing for the last 4 years, ever since 2018, when I decided to, 2017, when I decided to write my first book. That was, yes, heavily ridiculed, but I didn't really care. It wasn't even published because I was in a court case with my old publisher at the time, who I didn't agree with all of her business practices, and so I pulled out before I was able to publish, and then I went to court, and then it became an actual public document that then all of my trolls were like, yes, it's public information. They downloaded they got my book, my first book, from the court, and it was all out there on the internet. Fine, that's fine. That was my first initiation to how the world worked. Okay? But that was just the beginning of my writing journey. And it has evolved from that point. So at some point, you're going to have to evolve the way in which you think. And sometimes it doesn't mean that you have to speak on YouTube or Facebook, but you start writing. And then when you write certain things that are very professionally friendly, if you are in that capacity, then you start posting certain things that you have figured out, your revelations, because you started writing. I get so many revelations when I write, when I speak. Okay, but if you're not even using Facebook for that, how the hell are you going to evolve? Evolution comes from you actually developing your own, you exercise that creative process. Everybody loves pretty flowers. Everybody loves beautiful faces with makeup and positions and whatever. But what it comes down to, it's not the face. It's not the image. It's not the daily affirmations of, oh, you be a positive person, everyone's positive around you, and your kids will be positive. No, it's about being real with yourself. And then you have a revelation about certain things that you can share that other people can probably relate to without you exposing all your skeletons. Okay? Because there's no reason to hang out your dirty laundry either. Do I expose everything about what goes on between me and my husband? Not necessarily. You guys know a lot, but you don't know everything, because that's sacred between him and I. But there are things that you can share that makes you a real freaking person. So people know that you are evolving without throwing up and having binarrhea. That was from Wendy Leah. Verbal diarrhea, verbal binary diarrhea, binarrhea. You don't need to have binarrhea on Facebook to get people to show that you're evolving. But it all depends on how you are looked at in the professional community, and you can still be intelligent and still show people that you are evolving as a human, as a professional, as a mother, as a wife, as someone who is a collaborator in any project. You must show that you have the ability to evolve even through the written form. Okay? And so the 3 Ds of disease is dogma, diets, and doctrines. And yes, I lost a few friends who were probably in the religious world because the Bible is their holy everything. And they're going to have a problem with this. Though in my book, I'm going to say, yes, the Catholics and the Freemasons understood the power and the magic of words. And this is why you have the Bible and 50 million versions of it. This is why you have the Constitution. This is why there's a fight over it. This is why you have mission statements. Because that is the spell over the company to then invoke a specific purpose and intention. Some are benevolent for good of mankind, others are destructive. And then you must have a clear gut to discern what is destructive and what is basically promoting life. And if you don't have that kind of discernment because your gut is so messed up, because you have so many spells that you're holding on, all the words that you've held on, and if you're obese, you're carrying destructive words, and you're just, you can't differentiate it anymore. And if you are very skinny with, very underweight and very malnourished, then you are holding very destructive words that are cannibalizing you, but you are deflecting any kind of even good energy that will help promote life. You'll deflect that as well as food. That's why disease is linked to doctrines. That's why disease is linked to dogma. That's why disease is linked to diets. And so you can tell when someone has issues when they're obese. They're carrying so much, not even negative energy. They're carrying so many spells that were inflicted upon them either in childhood or in their genetic line. And so you can tell exactly what a person has dealt with or is going through by even the weight that they carry and all of their procedures that they have gone through. So you guys figure it out, but I'm telling you, I'm giving you a pathway to develop yourself. I'm not attacking anybody, but I'm giving you the power to create your life. But at some point, you're going to have to stand on your own 2 feet. And sometimes writing is a good way for you to slow down everything in your thought process, and then you start having these revelations, your personal revelations, not revelations based upon somebody else, but your personal revelations, not based upon a Bible, not based upon the Constitution, not based upon anything except for what you want to convert in your life and what you want for your future. Your kids will figure it out. They will or they won't. It doesn't make a difference at this point. But it's about you. All right. Bye.